What is happening? Double entendre. Um, oh, so I just got an email at work saying that if I don't get the jab by October 1st, I'm gonna be put on administrative leave, unpaid. Yeah, kind of knew that was happening, the unpaid part at least. But then, as soon as that email came out from higher ups, the union rep, funny enough, just automatically said, "Oh, you'll be terminated after that." So she said that she was speaking with those higher ups. What does it mean, for the people who are on admin time leave? And that's what they told her. I could believe it. I think the writing was pretty much on the wall. And the sad thing is, I don't think any of this actually has to do with healthcare at all. It's really just the hospitals who are just bending the knee. Right? They're submitting fealty to a certain side of the government. At least that's in my opinion. And it's a sad thing, because they actually have people choosing to, or being coerced by the state to choose their livelihood versus their health. And obviously there's no real healthcare being done because they're not letting people consult their own doctors, which is kind of insane, coming from a healthcare facility. And just a whole bunch of other hypocrisy, and there's this whole thing with unions in the hospitals, and the one thing they're supposed to do is look out for the little guy, right? Supposedly, or they're supposed to protect jobs. And the one thing that they couldn't do was to fight back against some kind of fucking insane, tyrannical, just coercion. And I kind of knew that was going to happen, right? You think that, having this whole union thing would actually mean anything, but obviously it's really just there to suck up money. I guess make people feel better at the end of it. That's really what it is. And I guess there's also some sense of keeping other people out, right? They talk all about inclusivity and shit like that, but in the end, they're probably marketed out a whole lot of other people, because they ask for a minimum payment. And any functioning business, who actually has profit-loss ratios, they probably can't hire everybody at the same thing, all right? I mean, granted, there's a little bit of pay discrimination. I mean, discrimination is just variance, simply because some people who work there a little bit longer have been paid more. But in the same sense, they're all getting paid about the same thing, right? It's only over a long course of time, which some people might be making a few dollars more, and that's a fucking lot. Right, so obviously they're taking money, from the state. They're getting just pre-printed money, and they can pay whatever they want as long as they follow what the state says. And it's just unfortunate, What's the other thing? It's man, I forgot my thoughts, to be honest. So I'm just walking, trying to think here. Yeah, it's still disheartening. And I think the thing is, not even the people who don't get the jab are safe, in my opinion. Because if you really have to think about it, all this type of stuff, this economic, I wouldn't even call it economics. It's just, I guess economics, you could include it, by the definition of Mises, was just human action. But if you limit certain human actions and it can't do certain things, well, obviously, some businesses just can't thrive, right? So by the whole sense of this type of economic model, which is basically fascism, that from the history of it, it's actually doomed to fail. So even those people who might have still saved their jobs for now, this can't go on it just can't last. Right? Either your money, or in this, it's not really money, the dollar just goes, and everybody's going to be paid worthless shit, or it's going to get so bad that people are going to be forced to do things simply by mandates, and the mandates does not come without any type of aggression, in my opinion, right? Because the only way that they can ever make people do something is coercion by, I guess, dangling something for you, or trying to pay you off in some sense. And if paying you off doesn't work, coercion is really just, it's just violence. Even if it was to dangle your own livelihood in front of you, that is pretty violent, I would say. And the violence will just amp up more and more. Hopefully it doesn't. I'm hoping, things change fast enough to where people are just kind of sick of it, because the supermarkets, people are feeling the fucking inflation, right? Like pork, for example, is through the roof. Before the pandemic, or the whatever you want to call it, I need another name for it. The sickness. I'm just gonna say the sickness from now on. Before the whole sickness kind of hit, and all these rules were implemented. The pork, or at least just one thing, not pork, but a slab of ribs at Costco was $2.50 a pound. When the lockdowns came in, or after the CARES Act, really, they, jacked the price up to $3.50 a pound. Right now, it's $5.50 a fucking pound, and a lot of people are really noticing that. People who don't really pay too much attention to economics are really feeling that portion of it. That has to be addressed at some point. So we're reaching some type of really hard place at a rock, and it's just gonna, I don't know what the fuck's gonna happen, but nothing good in my opinion. But what do I know? I'm just an idiot with a small voice that nobody really is listening to. So, who knows? We'll see what happens.